Hello, this is a tutorial for using the Smart Notebook math tools and looking at specifically the Graph Wizard. The Graph Wizard is located up in the Math Tools toolbar underneath the graphs. If you click on this, you can see that there are some quick keys here that will automatically insert a Cartesian graph, a quadrant graph, or a line graph. But if we want to go to the Graph Wizard, it will help us to customize the graph before it even comes onto the screen. So the first graph that I'm going to cover is the Cartesian. Here's where you have the option to change the scales of the x and y axis to change the step values. You can put on the horizontal lines, vertical lines, take them off and on. You can also either show the scale or not show the scale. It's up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and just click Finish. So here's our option here. Notice that it's a little large for my screen. If I'm going to be working on it, I want to be able to have it a little bit smaller, and I want to be able to see the words behind it too. So here's a little trick. If you notice that the pointer hand is on it right now, if I try to click and drag at this point, it will not move. What you have to do is you have to kind of go into the margin until you get the cross. And at that point, you can select it and resize it, or you can click and drag at this point in order to be able to move it onto your screen. Okay, just some things about the Cartesian graph. So it shows all four quadrants right away. You can turn on and off the graph lines or the numbers right away just by using one of these buttons. So this one with the grid turns that on and off, and then the numbers, it shows that you can turn those on and off as well. So it depends on your preference and what the lesson is regarding. Okay, to create and show XY coordinates, make sure that you have the pointer hand, and you can do this either from the computer or from the smartboard. And if you double click, a point will show up. And so if I just create some points here, I can go halfway as well. It's wherever your students need to come up and show trending, things like that. Okay, so if I want to see the coordinates of those points, I come down here to the ordered pair button, and clicking that on and off will show the points, whether you prefer for those to be on and off. If I need to remove a point because it was inaccurate, let's say a student came up here and you saw that there was an error in the data and they said that they didn't want to do that point anymore. If you come back over to the point and double click on it again or click on the board twice, it will take that off. Okay, usually you would use this lesson for something like the line of best fit. So this button down here, if you click it on and off, will show the line of best fit. So you can show how it's trending or not trending, depending on the lesson. The next buttons are the zoom in and zoom out button. So if I can see that my data is trending in the first quadrant, I can start to zoom in. But notice how I would have to zoom in and out, and I may lose some of my points on there. And I want to be able to move the graph quickly without having to go back into the Graph Wizard and adjust my scales. So that's what this hand feature is for. This is for click and drag. So if I click this on, it changes to a hand instead of a pointed hand. And I can click and hold and see where the data is trending. So if I wanted to come over into the second quadrant or the third quadrant, clicking and dragging with this hand will allow me to do so. And then you can just turn that off and you can have the pointer features again, or the selection again. The show and the hide the toolbar. This will be helpful so that if you don't want students coming up and touching these items, if you were able to get the graph where you wanted it, you wouldn't want them to accidentally touch one of those buttons. So you could hide the toolbar. It looks cleaner. It is also used for things like copying and pasting into a test or something, or worksheet. So that's also a helpful feature at that point. Okay, the quadrant graph is the next option. If we go to graphs again, we can go to the graph wizard, or we can choose the quick graph option. So if I click this, it'll automatically insert a graph that is going up to 10 and 10. We still have all the features of turning on and off the grids and the numbers, lines, and things like that. This may have come up. This was just to be able to zoom in and out quickly. That key is not really used that commonly. So another option is that you still are able to drag. So if you don't see what you want to see enough of, you can click this and move it just a little bit so that you can see the two arrows if that's what you desire. All right, let's say for my graph though, I need it to go just to 5 on the x-axis. Well, I don't want to have to go back into the graph wizard to change this. So a quick feature of this is to select the graph so that you have the drop-down menu. Click on the drop-down menu and go to Properties. And this is where you have the options to, again, show all the different numbers, the lines, things like that. But if I want to change my x-axis to start or to end at 5 instead, and then this way, if I click off of there, now you can see that my graph is customized. So again, if you want to select it, drop-down menu, and properties to be able to change the scale and the numbers that you want to have it go to. The last option is a number line. And so I'm going to go about this two ways. The quick graph way goes into giving you a -10 to 10 number line. You still have the same opportunity if you want to select it and go to Properties from the drop-down menu. You can adjust it at this point and say, I only want to go to 5, and I want to go from -5 to 5. And I still want to go by one step. And so you can adjust it that way. Otherwise, if you go to the graph wizard first and select number line, you can customize it before it even comes onto the screen. So if I know that I still wanted to go from -10 to 10, but this time I want to show a step of 2, and this way it'll show a different one at that point. So you can customize it before it comes onto the screen, or you can use the quick graph option and it'll automatically come on the screen and you can adjust it at that point. And that concludes the Graph Wizard tutorial.